Okay, this isn't exactly a hot take from me, considering the fact that my very first video, literally my first video on YouTube, was called Enlightened Centrism, but I really hate Enlightened Centrism. I'm not a big fan. This is from Yang, obviously. I'm no Trump fan. I want him as far away from the White House as possible, but a fundamental part of his appeal is that it's him against a corrupt government establishment. This raid strengthens that case for millions of Americans who will see this as unjust persecution. And I think this is actually like an astonishing textbook case of enlightened centrism being a way to play cover for conservatives, you know? So there are a couple of like implicit statements that are kind of loaded in here. The first of which being you shouldn't you shouldn't apply the rule of law to conservatives because that would aid in their persecution complex. And the second of which being that their persecution complex is only emboldened by things that are actually unjust, as opposed to just any action whatsoever that's inconvenient to them. But this right here, like, you guys know, like, the trope. I don't know if it actually happened to you, but you know the trope of, like, you're getting bullied by your older sibling, and then your parent steps in and they're like, knock it off, you two. And the older sibling was the only one who did anything wrong. And you didn't do anything wrong, you know? Like, everything that's wrong with that is what's happening here, except much, much bigger. The equivocation, or the equation that, well, actually both apply in this case, drawing a direct parallel between the needs and the problems of fascist and anti-fascist groups is a pro-fascist sentiment. I mean, obviously, like clearly, anybody who said, well, not raping a woman and raping a woman are really both morally equal, like, everyone would know that's a pro statement, you know? But for some reason, when it comes to politics, people think that there's some kind of latent wisdom to this inability to take a side. Now, mind you, most of Yang's tweets nowadays get like 3K likes. Okay, he mostly gets made fun of, right? If you go back far enough, yeah, here we go. This is a 1.5 million follower account. 200 likes, 1.7K likes, 77 likes, 211 likes, 164 likes. Kablamo, nearly 100,000 likes. Who do you think is liking this? Do you think it's centrists, or do you think it's rightoids? Other acceptable answers: retards, Vaush fans, but I repeat myself. Far-right shuds, conservatives, conservatoids, Nazis. Yeah, you got it. Vaushites primarily. That's all he's good for these days. Enlightened centrism exists to play cover for conservatives. That's why it's so common on the internet. If you see a person say they're a centrist or a moderate, they are a conservative. Like 99.9% of the time, they're a conservative, and they're embarrassed about it. Or they recognize the fact that just being open about that is kind of a social repellent. Seriously, if you guys want to see a very consistent source of frustration, conservatives complaining about trying to get a date in cities. Very, very funny stuff there, you know, because they know, like, if you're open about being conservative in a lot of parts of America, like, people aren't going to like you. I mean, great. Especially if you're young, right? Not always the case, but somewhat. The critical difference when it comes to political persecution is that if you're a conservative, no one will like you. But if you're a leftist in an area where conservatives are supreme, like politically, you get your rights taken away, you know? Like, you can be like a chuddy white dude on Tinder in Seattle and live, but being a trans woman in, like, Mississippi, less so. So, critical distinctions there. As always, we abstain. We're very nice. We let them get away with it. But on the Andrew Yang thing, you know, I feel like it's actually a massive waste of time to sit here and try to, like, explain why this is really dumb, because, like, the literal statement here is you should not hold fascist groups to account. You should not subject them to the legal process of investigation because they will feel it's unjust that you do so. So what do you just, like, let them do whatever they want? Let's read some more. It seems like this was authorized by a local judge and a particular FBI office without buy-in or notification of the higher levels of government. absolutely delusional. The idea that Mar-a-Lago, the residence of a former president, was raided by the feds without any oversight from the DOJ, like a local judge, like just some city judge, you know, just like some local, like that's it, you know, like, oh yeah, we're gonna raid a former president. We're going to break open his safe, you know. Let's go to Doug. Doug is the guy you go to around here. You know, like what? Delusional. But literally no one will believe that or make a distinction. It's probably bureaucratic, but it seems political. Notice how Yang isn't even making a moral case for whether it's legally justified to do the raid on Mar-a-Lago. He's literally just saying it doesn't matter whether or not it's a legitimate expression of the law. Trumpers feel hurt by it. Like, you understand what the implications of this statement is, right? Like, it doesn't matter whether or not they've broken the law. It doesn't matter whether or not they've done anything to warrant the investigation. They feel hurt by it. They feel like they're being targeted. Therefore, you shouldn't do it. If they raided his home just to find classified documents he took from the White House, one legal expert noted, he will be re-elected president in 2024, hands down. It will prove to be the greatest law enforcement mistake in history. Just a statement pulled there. I wonder if there's any additional context surrounding that statement. You know, I'm very curious. Oh, wait, who's the person being asked again? It's help from Elon and Garrett Ross. News from Peter Services in place. Wait, who's making the statement? It's doing that Politico, like, article read, like, paragraph by paragraph part. I can't parse this because my brain is small. They don't say who? Do they not? Well, it says Ryan Lisa and Eugene Daniels up here, but it doesn't... Whatever. Okay, anyway. If they raided some, just find classified documents from the White House, he'll be reelected president 2024, hands down. That's not why they did it, though. Who signed the warrants? European reaction. Okay, I'm not reading through all this. They just say one legal expert. That's it. That's all they're going for. Yeah. So the problem here is the implication of the statement. If all they did was conduct an unprecedented, unannounced raid on a former president just to find some documents that went missing from the White House, that would indeed be a big mistake. That would be very, very dumb. If they wanted to do that, if that was really their intention, they would probably just, you know, announce the raid beforehand. I've seen a lot of people speculating on what exactly the FBI was looking to get, what they were looking to do. And I think one of the prevailing theories is that Donald Trump might... You guys remember when he took classified info from the White House? That was a story a couple months ago. Remember that? When it went missing from the White House and it's kept in Mar-a-Lago, right? I think one of the stories about what the feds might have been doing is that there's a theory that Trump was disclosing those classified documents to people at Mar-a-Lago in exchange for stuff. Essentially, that he was doing treason? That it's classified information, the federal government, and he took it to spread that information, which would be, yeah, a national security threat. If that's the case, that would explain the unannounced raid, because that would be a really big deal. That would be huge. And if they were able to prove that's the case, that would totally legitimize the raid right there. That would, like, 100%, that would very legit, because they broke into his safe. I mean, that might, like, that's a big deal, you know? Like, they didn't just, like, go in there to peek around. They broke into his safe. It's probably a big safe, you know? He did it in exchange for Twitter access. He's like screaming at the Twitter executives, like, what classified intel do I need to show you for you to give me back my fucking account? Didn't they have a warrant? Of course they had a warrant. If they did that, yeah, if they did that without a warrant, that would be illegal. I mean, they need a warrant. No reason they would muck that up. Anyway, I'm trying to talk about Yang here. He just keeps trying to sell the Forward Party, which has no policy prescriptions at all. I've actually seen fans of the Forward Party describe it as not ideological. They're just trying to produce the platform for people to discuss their ideas, which doesn't mean anything. It's completely nonsensical. None of this means anything. It's very, very dumb. But this does this does serve conservatism first and foremost. Unfortunately, I fear we will look back on this as a day that activated extremism and not the opposite. What the f does that mean? January 6th already happened. What do you... The Trumpers have been very moderate up until this point. Well, but I mean, this attitude makes sense if your only ideology is kowtow to the angriest people. This is one of the reasons why compromise as a political virtue in and of itself is worthless. Because people's perceptions of what a good compromise is are always going to be affected by the degree of perceived emotional investment from both parties, and fascists will always scream and cry louder than other people. Always. All you have to do is flip the bird at a Republican politician somewhere in public, and they're going to spend the next 3 weeks talking about how Antifa assaulted them, and how they barely made it out with their life, and only the complete eradication of all trans people will protect conservatives from the oncoming genocide or whatever. Like, they will always cry louder. So if your goal is to compromise and try to find a center point, you know, between a reasonable position and an insane one, you're always going to end up in crazy land no matter what. Anyway, that's all that's the only reason anyone's cared about Yang for the past 24 hours, because of his goddamn equivocation here. Did I see the new WAPO report? New FBI removed about a dozen boxes from a basement at Mar-a-Lago on Monday, according to Trump's lawyer. After Trump gave over 15 boxes earlier this year, federal officials believed he still had more, and his team wasn't telling the whole truth. Ooh! Oh, so that's a concern, that he withheld. Now, why would he want to hold on to those documents? Why is the ad blocker not popping up? Whatever. In the months before the FBI's dramatic move to execute a search warrant at former... Oh, wait, I have an account here. Nice. Open a safe to look for items. Federal authorities grew increasingly concerned that Trump or his lawyers and aides had not, in fact, returned all the documents and other material that were government property, according to people familiar with the discussions. Officials became suspicious that when Trump gave back items to the National Archives about 7 months ago, either the former president or people close to him held on to key records, despite a Justice Department investigation into the handling of 15 boxes of material sent to the former president's private club and residence in the waning days of his administration. Over months of discussion on the subject, some officials also came to suspect Trump's representatives were not truthful at times, according to some people familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss an ongoing investigation. You always know it's good when people have to speak anonymously on a subject. That's where you know the quality content is. And they took 12 more boxes after conducting the search, and they sprung his safe, too. By that point, officials at the National Archives had been aggressively contacting people in Trump's orbit to demand the return of documents they believe were covered by the Presidential Records Act, said two people familiar with those inquiries. Like the others, they spoke in the condition of anonymity to discuss details of the investigation. I really want to know what this information is. So my concern is this, right? If Trump wanted to disclose confidential, top secret, whatever, administration, he could just do that by saying it, right? Like, you can copy info. You don't need the original documents. I'm trying to wonder, like, what kind of thing you would need to keep at Mar-a-Lago in order to do something illegal that you couldn't do without having to keep it there. I genuinely don't know. I have no idea. Oh, sorry. I have no idea. It's about hiding info, not keeping it to hand out. I'm pretty sure the National Archives keeps digital records. I don't think it's just physical stuff. It might be some kind of verification thing. There might be logs there, or like information that you would want to like prove the legitimacy of. Also, it might be there's information in there that he can't make use of, but other people can. Like, there might be information in there that he wouldn't know what to copy, but he just sort of took everything off the kitchen shelf because other people might know more specifically what they're interested in, or he might not be able to parse some information. I genuinely don't know. I'm really genuinely spitballing here. I don't know. I mean, we're talking about stuff that's like pretty well, above like conventional knowledge. So I hope information about this comes out, because it could be, it could be pretty interesting potentially. He flushed classified handwritten notes down the toilet at Mar-a-Lago, or when he was president? What is this from? August 8th. Exclusive photos. Trump's telltale toilet. Is this a joke? Not a joke? Is this is real? Why would you ever try to flush paper documents? Why wouldn't you burn them? What? I don't even know what to make of it. I don't even have any commentary on this. This feels like too much of a joke for me to... I don't even know what to say. Haberman sources reports the document dumps. Nice. Happened multiple times at the White House on at least 2 foreign trips. That Mr. Trump was discarding documents this way was not widely known within the West Wing, but some aides were aware of the habit, which he engaged in repeatedly. It was an extension of Trump's long-term habit of ripping up documents that were supposed to be preserved under the Presidential Records Act. He did this on foreign trips? He went to other countries and disposed of classified notes in their toilets? I feel like they should just execute him for this, right? There has to be a level of incompetence as a president that warrants that. Like, not even on a moral level, just like as a kind of, like, extension of universal karmic energy. They're like, this can't be allowed. This can't be allowed. You didn't see the one where he ate notes? What? He's literally like a bonobo ape. It's insane. It's insane. He actually, like, evolutionarily below. I swear to God, we're living in a political satire movie. No, we're not. Satire has to be clever. This isn't clever. This is too stupid to make good satire. This is bad satire a la Idiocracy, which is not a very good movie, in my opinion. You know, like, everything in the kitchen sink. Apparently, Representative Scott Perry met with the FBI and they left with his phone. Oh, from 2 hours ago. Hell yeah. PA Rep Scott Perry says FBI took his cell phone after Trump property search. According to the network, Perry said he was traveling with his family when he was approached by 3 FBI agents who had a warrant for his phone. Hopefully completely impromptu. Like, he was just walking down the sidewalk and like 3 dudes in shades and suits approached him from all angles. Their guns out. Give me your goddamn cell phone. They made no attempt to contact my lawyer. Ooh. Okay, so this is the second instance of the FBI deliberately not using the, like, polite channel for gathering evidence. You know? Like, just going for it directly, rather than going through the usual channels that you would go for, especially with, like, a powerful political agent. They better get something good out of this, man. If they don't present anything good after doing all of this, it'll be a huge waste. I guess we'll see. This is hype for season 2 of the January 6 hearings. Oh, the January 6 hearings, when they get back on, are going to pop the f*** off. Not only do we have the Mar-a-Lago investigation, where the FBI is collecting info from Mar-a-Lago, the shit they've told from there, the phone from Perry, but you also have all the texts from Alex Jones, which the lawyer said that he would be sharing with the Jan 6 committee. So, season 2 is going to be banging, man.